What's up, everyone? Welcome back to another episode of Bolero. Sam here with Gab and Maui. And today is a Thursday.
Ghoste!
Ghoste! Kita nyo naman sa headline natin, no?
UST is back, baby!
UST is back. Pasensya na kung hindi kami nag-podcast kahapon. Medyo naipit din kami sa traffic. So, we're going to talk about those two games today. Pero bago tayo mag-UST, Gab, medyo maganda yung usapan dun sa UST. Pag-usapan muna natin yung first game. Lasal giving Adamson the beatdown. Gab, Mr. Adamson, gusto ko muna marinig yung reactions mo. Quick initial reactions and before we go to Maui.
Yeah. This was simply the game. Lasal was hot. Adamson was not.
Simple.
That was it. Simple. Actually, this is one of the few times where you look at the stat sheet and it's the same story as in when you watch the game, when you have the eye test. Because that's exactly how the game turned out. Lasal hit 15 threes. 5 out of 5 actually for Doy Dungo. And everyone was hitting. Jump shots.
Bukas pa lang. 3 of 3 na si Dungo, di ba?
Yes. And on the other end of the floor, Adamson could not hit anything. Except maybe for Baby Boy Manzano. But they could not hit anything. They were missing layup after layup. Royce Mantua missed a fast break dunk. That was it, no? They had chances. They had chances to score. They just could not convert. And it was funny because my dad, who was beside me, asked, paano natalo nitong Adamson yung FEU? Palagi sila nagmimintis. Tapos sabi ko, kasi hindi rin makashoot yung FEU eh. kaya nalo Adamson.
Yun lang.
So, their first half was actually eerily similar to the first half they played against FEU. They couldn't make baskets. And it's the same thing. It was the same thing in this game. They could not get anything to fall. Credit has to go also to the LaSalle defense. But as I said, Adamson had chances. They had great looks at the basket. They had a ton. From my count, they had 3 or 4 wide open layups that they bricked. Layups. No one contesting, and they bricked it. So that was the game. And on the other end, LaSalle just could not miss. It felt like, but of course, they shot 40% from the field. But that's abysmal. That's great compared to the 29% of Adamson. And
si Raven Cortez nga naka 3-point shot eh. Yung big man tumitira na rin ng tres.
Sorry, 44% from the field and right? No, 42%. Sorry about that. 42% from the field, but that looked good against a 29% of Adamson. And yeah, that's pretty abysmal. That was essentially the game. That was a gist of it. I don't think you have to know anything else. The bench guys played for LaSalle. I think that's all you need to know. Ethan Alian got some minutes. Alex Konov got some minutes. Maybe we'll talk about him some more. It was my first time getting an extended look at Alex Konov.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, that was the game. Pretty lopsided, actually. I was able to eat some dinner before the Ateneo UST game because it was already a 20-point blowout by the time the third and fourth quarter came in. So, not a bad look for my Adamson Falcons.
Not a good look, you mean? Not a good
not a good look. Not a good look for my Adamson Falcons after a resounding win against FEU.
Brought down to earth. Actually, yung dalawang birds, talo kahapon. So we'll talk more about the other bird later. Maui, ano naman yung nakita mo dun sa Adamson LaSalle? What stood out for you dun sa game?
Yeah, actually si Gab was able to perfectly summarize basically the whole game in a very short time. I think that's all you need to know about the game. Diba? Very one-sided. You can't win against UP or LaSalle when you only score 6 points in the first quarter. That's something for certain, especially if that team scores 20, di ba? a big deficit against these two teams, these very two talented teams, you cannot get out of that hole, especially if you're a team that relies heavily on a low-scoring game, di ba? If you watch as Gab mentioned, if you watch the Adamson FEU game, it was basically a grindhouse game, di ba? Classic FEU Adamson game. You cannot win against LaSalle if you don't score points and you don't limit them at the same time, di ba? Scoring 20 points in a quarter in the UAAP is actually does not happen all the time, di ba? And unfortunately, they ran into a LaSalle team that everybody was just hitting shots from the outside, di ba? You mentioned si Raven Cortez Gonzalez hit a 3-pointer, Golena hit a few 3-pointers, Doy Dungo was 5 of 5. I think si Alex Gorov lang, their best shooter, was the one that brick shots.
Yeah, that was sayang. I was hoping makatira din si Konov. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah. And grabe si KQ for the second straight game. Maybe it was maybe it was overshadowed by the hot shooting game of LaSalle, but KQ was as usual spectacular. Baskets from all over the floor, from the 3-point line, from mid-range, off drives, a very crazy assist to Henry Agunane. Di ba? He almost lost the ball and then he was able to pass to Agunane for the easy dunk. Very LeBron-esque. I think I've seen LeBron throw that pass numerous times to like Zaidrunas Ilgauskas, di ba, before, and Tristan Thompson. But
nahahalata na age mo, Maui.
Nahalata na.
Ilgauskas ka ba?
Kilala natin.
You're right after our Gerard Jones callback. May Zedunas Ilgauskas ka ba?
Kilala natin yung OG teammate si LeBron. So, nalalabas ko na yung age namin. But yeah, LaSalle really shot the ball pretty well. I think that's, if they intend to contend, I think that would be important. Diba? If they're going to beat UP, that's important. That's one of the reasons why they were able to quote-unquote upset UP during the finals last season, diba? Both VJ David and Escandor hit numerous 3-point shots in that 3-game series. And if they are able to contend versus UP, this is something that needs to be consistent, diba? Kasi they will definitely double team KQ. They will definitely limit Mike Phillips. It's actually weird to see LaSalle winning by 30 points and Mike Phillips scoreless, diba? I don't think I've ever seen this before, even sa Summer League games ng LaSalle. But yeah, I think that's more a testament to how deep their lineup is, diba? Si Gab has been saying this the whole off-season. Yes, they lost a ton of crucial players, but they still have the talent, they still have the depth to be able to contend with a team like UP. On the other end, on Adamson's side, they just couldn't make baskets, as Gab mentioned. They were able to force LaSalle to 19 turnovers, but only converted 2 fast break points. I think that tells you the whole story, diba? A ton of missed layups, even a missed dunk by Mantua.
Missed dunk, yeah.
There will be better games. I think medyo barometer sa Adamson if they have to force Manzano to make baskets, diba? If their offense is humming, they don't have to force Manzano. But if they're really struggling, Manzano has to step up a lot. And he was spectacular. We were discussing off air, di ba? I was actually surprised when I looked at the box score that Manzano was a +6 in 25 minutes in a 30-point blowout. I don't know how that happened, di ba? So there's still things to look at on the bright side. Just chalk this up to experience and move on. And I think their next game is against UST. So move on. Because as Vin mentioned, every game during this season, for all the teams except LaSalle and UP is crucial, diba? That the race for that Final Four slot is very tight, especially we haven't heard if Deasana's out for the season, but I think he is. So that actually makes it more competitive for all of the teams outside LaSalle and UP. Sam?
Gab, how about yung performance ni Henry Agunane? We said he had a poor start, much better performance now. Anong masasabi mo dun sa second game ni Henry Agunane? And how did he improve on that bad first game?
What a way to respond, Henry. I'm sure you're watching Boleros and you got called out by Gab Lim.
Pag si Omar dyan nanonood, di ba? Malay mo siya rin.
Yung baka siya na yung next na mag-slide sa comment section as mag-laughing emoji sa atin yung whenever we call him out. But yeah, it was a very decent game by Henry Agunane. And maybe si Coach Topex din nakikinig sa Boleros because I said nung last episode that they should stop running plays through Henry Agonani, stop the post-ups, stop the isolations for Henry. They should stop it. And they completely did. Actually, this is what I think Henry Agonani should do. Is actually he should look at his counterpart from Adamson and look at how OJ plays. OJ just focuses on grabbing rebounds, protecting the rim, and scoring near the basket whenever he gets the opportunity. That is, I think, how Henry should play. I don't focus on being the roll man during the pick and roll. Focus on running the floor and getting fast break baskets, sealing your man when there's an opportunity. Focus on protecting the rim. He's long, he can jump, he has good timing. I think he can do that. Focus on grabbing rebounds. He had 16 yesterday. Those are the stuff I think he has to do. He has to be less of the try to dribble from the outside. He has to be less from trying to do post up and then face up and do whatever limited post moves that he has. Stop with those. And you can see Coach Topex also from the sideline. I was there behind the LaSalle bench. Whenever Henry would do that, he would always shake his head. But here we go again. Stop. I'm guessing Henry does not have the license yet to do that, but he still does it. And that's it. That's how Henry can be effective. And what a way to respond. No? I called him a bot. Again, guys, that was an overreaction. I called him a bot.
Overreaction, yeah.
Overreaction.
May mga nag-comment, may mga nagalit.
That's the way the episode works. Overreaction. Okay? Not necessarily what we think about the players. We were not out on Henry Agonani by any means, of course. So that's it. No, if he plays the way he played against Adamson, just focusing on certain things on the floor, focusing on his strengths rather than trying to do too much, I think he'll be in a very good spot. And what a way to respond. And perhaps, Sammy, go ahead. Who else do we talk about in LaSalle? Because I do want to talk about one other player.
Okay, so next question. This is for you, Gab and Maui. It's just 2 games. Pero, sino yung LaSalle player that you think will become a key contributor for this entire season? Sort of like a Jonel Policarpio guy who sort of emerged out of nowhere from last season. It's just 2 games, pero sino na yung nakikita mo? Because we're seeing like some consistent guys and then Doy Dungo hitting like 5 3-pointers. Sino yung ina-expect nyo for that will be a key contributor for the rest of the season? It's just 2 games, pero may pick ba kayo?
Maui, you go first. I already gave my take on Henry.
Actually, I am actually very happy si BJ David is healthy. Diba? I didn't know that he's gonna be able to play early. He hasn't scored a ton of points if you look at the box scores from the past 2 games. But he's been very steady. I think that's something that they need to have, especially when they go up against UP. He has had a ton of games where he's had multiple assists. I think he had 7 in first 6 now. He's doing pretty well. But with regards to being able to replace a Jonel Policarpio, I don't think they have that guy this season. I think it's going to be by committee. During this game, actually, we saw a few players step up. We saw Doy Dungo heat up from the 3-point line. We saw Guliena hit a 3-pointer in a couple of baskets. Actually, si JC Macalala has really surprised me a lot yung improvement niya. He really improved a lot with the playing time was able to get when people were hurt during the off-season. Nagulat ako, may hang time pala siya from the game yesterday. Yeah. I didn't know he had that in the bag. But I think it's gonna be by committee for LaSalle. It has to be KQ and Mike Phillips and maybe Agonane that's consistently scoring points and getting rebounds. But as far as the other players, I think it's gonna be by committee. I think it's gonna be who's hot from the 3-point line during the game. I think that's gonna be very important, diba? When you have a player that you basically centralize your whole offense, it's important that you have good slashers and good 3-pointers. So it's gonna be by committee, I think. Gab.
Same thoughts, although I am higher on 2 guys, EJ Guliena and JC Macalalag. I love how Guliena's played in the first 2 games. really as an energy bunny, an energy guy, point of attack defender, can also hit threes and attack the basket if he can. Remember the finals last season, EJ Goliana was guarding Francis Lopez. Diba? He was the guy tasked to guard Francis Lopez. And even in Phil Oil, he was the guy tasked to guard a JD Kagulangan. So you can see the confidence that Coach Topex has in EJ Goliana. Well, for JC Macalalag, I think he's got a better offensive bag than either a CJ Austria or an EJ Goliana. Who, by the way, I think
si Austria pala wala. Yun ang
wala pa. Yeah, wala pa.
Oh, grabe.
Actually, I was gonna say, si Apo sat beside me during this game. Our good friend Apo. Ginulat ako. So suddenly, a guy in a dark cap and a black shirt came and tapped on my shoulder. Like, oh, si Apo pala. Gulat ako eh. But he was the one who told me that CJ Austria is out with the injury and probably will be coming back in the second round na or even in the late first round. So he's still nursing an injury.
That's very big.
Actually, Maui,
I think silver lining yun kasi guys like EJ Goliana can get more minutes, no?
Nakalimutan.
I was gonna say.
Ako nga nakalimutan ko eh, di ba? That during this game, he wasn't even there.
So yun yung bright spot that more minutes are getting funneled to guys like Goliana and Macalalag. I actually like si Macalalag because he's a 3-level scorer. He can shoot mid-range, can attack the basket, and can shoot from the outside. And he has counters. That's what I like about si Macalalag. May counters siya. Kung pigilin mo siya one side, he could switch sides, he could step back. I like it. I don't think he's a superstar or a star in this team, but as a guy who can take the pressure off KQ, I like what JC Macalalag can bring. So those are the two guys, Sammy, with regards to your question.
Yeah, actually, I phrased that question because I wanted to shout out EJ Goliana. I think we always see him in the comment section every time we talk about LaSalle na underrated pick si EJ Goliana. I think the past 2 games he has been very consistent as like just a solid contributor on both ends of the floor. I was also gonna mention nga na he's really making the most of this opportunity habang CJ Austria is out. So I'm hoping this helps build his confidence as they go through the season kasi I feel like he's going to be a solid contributor for this team moving on. And I love his energy. Tama ka, Gab. Any other guys that you want to talk about maybe that didn't perform well or anybody worth mentioning pa? Gab, I want to start with you.
I already mentioned him. It's Alex Konov. I don't see it right now. I was actually hoping he'd get minutes. I mean, there's a spot behind KQ, left by Jonel Policarpio. I was thinking maybe he could take some. I mean, I don't believe in the Mike Phillips, Henry Agonane front court. There's just a lack of spacing there. And I thought that maybe si Alex Konov can take some minutes there, just provide some spacing and just knock down some threes. But he looked lost defensively yesterday. And you could see it on the face, actually, of Coach Topex whenever Alex Konov was there on the court. He doesn't seem to get it yet defensively. And on offense, he's really slow. I think he's like a step down. Like if you had Mason Amos, I think he's a level lower than Mason. He's a very similar player to Mason. His strength is as a set shooter, a knockdown set shooter. Mason is the same way, but Mason can post up. Mason has a bigger body. He can bang inside. He can grab some rebounds. Alex Konov doesn't have those skills yet. He doesn't have an hand. His handle is very suspect. I haven't seen him take more than 2 dribbles in a single possession. His shot looks slow. A set shot, he needs to be set up. So
set shot,
so yun. Maybe for 1 to 2 minutes you can play him, but extended minutes I don't see it yet this season. More so next season when the guy who is placed very similar to him is arriving in Mason Amos. So I don't see how Alex
Who
Konov
has
is getting
slimmed down, who
slimmed
looks
up.
very fit.
Shout out to Mason, who I got to meet again in the game yesterday. Shout out to you, my man. But yeah, I don't see it yet with Alex Konov. I don't know how he's gonna play in this LaSalle rotation, especially that he's a liability on defense. So far, I mean, he hasn't found how to be effective on the defensive end, despite his slow-footedness. So, yeah, consider him a disappointment yesterday because it was the first time I got to see him play an extended amount of time. You know, in the preseason, I wasn't able to watch the game he played in the Kadayawan Cup. Wasn't able to play in the next game. I think he had a jersey problem, or was that in the WBS? He had a jersey problem, so he wasn't able to play there. The first game he played a minute, 2 minutes. So this is the first time I've got to see him play, and even Apo was beside me, was saying, "No, he's not ready. Alex Konov's not ready for the UAAP," and it showed. Maybe I'll be proven wrong. I hope I am. I hope he gets more minutes. But so far, you know, the defense does not look like it's there yet. I mean, you could see it on Coach Topek's face. If you were there, you could see it on his face. It's just not there yet.
Yeah. Actually, madami sa rookies that we were hyping up are not getting minutes, diba? I think si Mahmoud, even si Jaden Jones is not getting that many minutes yet. So that's something to look out for during the season, I guess.
Good point. Oh, hey, Sakto Maui, because you talked about Zain Mahmoud. Let's move on. Let's move on to that UST versus Ateneo game. This is a closer game, I would say, until probably no fourth quarter when Ateneo just couldn't hit a shot. Maui, since naka-blue ka today, ikaw naman, initially actions mo dun sa Ateneo UST game na yun?
Yeah. Actually, Ateneo played it pretty well nung first half, diba? Si Crisostomo was really a big problem throughout the game. I think on both ends of the floor, yung hustle niya.
Crisostomo.
It was a breakout game, diba? I think what's actually one of the reasons why we think that UST is back. It's not only because Fortsy Padrigao is very stable and as good as advertised, because Nick Cabanero is still scoring a ton of points, and maybe si Motong Kara is a very good FSA, has a argument to be the best FSA in the UAAP right now after 2 games. But I think players like Crisostomo, players like Lemit, that's one of the main reasons why I
Grabe yung improvement, no? From last year yung silang
yeah,
dalawa.
Tsaka these are players, I think even Crisostomo is a homegrown player, di ba? We're expecting Estacio, we were expecting Mahmoud. And these 2 guys out of nowhere just came out and showed us. We worked our ass off the whole off season and we're ready for this season. Di ba? Some players that were playing a ton of minutes during the preseason are not getting a ton of run right now. I don't know if that's the strategy of Coach Pido, na secretive siya ng off-season, or these 2 guys just really worked their ass off and are surprising right now. But I love what I'm seeing with UST so far. Actually, the whole game, I was nervous for Ateneo, even when they were leading close to 10 points during the first half. I knew that UST was going to be able to lock down in the second half. It was a bit concerning to me. Si Gab and I was actually talking about this. It was a bit concerning to me that Jared Bahay wasn't able to get into a groove. Diba? One of my chat groups of basketball enthusiasts actually mentioned na parang very lax and very chill si Jared Bahay no first half. But no, I think it's because of the UST defense. Diba? They were able to put players who were 3-4 inches taller,
big bodies,
big bodies, lankier players, and not just that, diba? They weren't playing Jared Bahay one-on-one. It's one of the reasons why I think si Josh Lazaro also had another great game, kasi he was the only guy who Jared Bahay passed na aggressive of the double team. But Ateneo has to do a better job of getting Jared Bahay into a rhythm, because he is basically yung engine ng offense nila. You saw nung second half when he was struggling, that Ateneo really couldn't get any buckets. That's where they miss Chris Kune, another player who's a ball handler. I think that's also one of the reasons why Cetuano is thriving right now. There's no choice. He has to attack the baskets and shoot free throws and just really drive aggressively. As far as Ateneo, some players, a player that has really disappointed me, which I've said to you guys, is si Drew Bongo. But where's Drew Bongo? I think he's scoreless the first 2 games. He was one of the top scorers.
Did really well sa off-season.
Yeah, he did pretty well, especially when it was announced that Mason was going to transfer to LaSalle. Where's Bongo? I think this is the second or third off-season that I've expected him to have a meaningful impact, but he's not actually having any impact. It seems like he's lost. It seems like he's lost his confidence. This is concerning for Ateneo. But on the bright side, si Josh Lazaro has been a revelation for Ateneo. I think after his...
My boy! My boy!
I was saying during the game, who is this guy? Where was this guy for 3 seasons?
Yeah, exactly. Alam mo, Gab, yan exactly sinasabi nung dad ko when we were watching it. Sabi niya, ba't hindi siya ganyan last year? Sino to? Ganyan, this looks different. Grabe yung confidence ni Josh Lazaro. Anyway, go ahead, Maui.
Yeah, I think yung renewed confidence ni Lazaro has really paid dividends to his game. If you've been tuning into social media, actually, nung around 2022, he posted that he was about to quit basketball. He just lost his passion and love for basketball. It seems like it's finally reignited this season. We're seeing a different side of Josh Lazaro. We're seeing the Josh Lazaro blue chip recruit, di ba? Yung what we expected from Lazaro when he entered college. Very versatile, can score in all ways. Grabe yesterday, he played even better than the first game. He scored on jumpers, he scored on drives, he scored even had a 3-pointer, and yet he still grabbed 10 rebounds and had 4 assists. I think yung value niya to Ateneo is unquestionable. He's probably their most important player right now, just because he can play a multitude of positions. He can guard a multitude of different players, whether it's big man, whether it's lanky guards, everyone basically from 1 to 5. I think that's one of the bright sides when you look at Ateneo. But with Kun, we still don't know when Kun is going back. So other players will have to step up. I have to commend also si Porter, si Porter. He really played well yesterday. Even si Kyle Ong. Actually, ang concerning lang talaga to me is what's giving me frustration right now is Victor Balogun. Diba? He looks lost talaga when you watch the game. I don't know if we can expect him to break out even in the second round, diba? I'm hoping that he gets better through repetitions and through time. Even si Obasa naman struggled right off the bat but did pretty well during the end of the season last year. But it doesn't look good. It looks like Ateneo's better playing without the FSA. Gab.
Okay, Gab. US thoughts on UST?
First of all, I would like to commend the UAAP because getting rid of 4 game days allows us to expound on 2 games lang. So we have so much time to talk about these 2 games. We spent 20 minutes on LaSalle Adamson despite being a blowout. If this was the 4 game days we saw last season, we would not have talked at all about LaSalle Adamson.
About LaSalle Adamson, yeah.
Durog na durog din tayo. Yung utak natin before
you would be so tired watching since 10 in the morning of UAAP basketball while working. So kudos UAAP. This was a good change. Anyway, back to the game. This game was actually pretty exciting. Back and forth all the way. Very close until very same story. I told this to one of our fans who I saw in the game. Ateneo had this game until 32 minutes. When there was 8 minutes left in the fourth, it was 60-56. They were up, and they did not score for at least the next 7 minutes because it became a 70-60 game. 14-0 run by
I think it was even 16-0 run or something like that.
No. Until Sean Keteves hit 2 free throws, I think.
Okay, sorry.
To end the run. But that was it. That was the game. And it's very similar to how they played in the first game against UP. Remember, it was a 62-54 game with 4 minutes 50 left or 4 minutes and a half left in the game until JT Kagulangan made the 5-0 run, and that was the game. They could not finish the game. Kudos to UST, man. I do want to focus more on UST since they did win this game, and our title is UST is back, so I'm going to focus a lot on UST. I do want to shout out the two players who top scored for UST, Mo Tongkara and Jello Crisostomo. You see the lack of rim protection because Jello Crisostomo feasted in the paint.
Yeah.
That was it. They feasted. Jello Crisostomo feasted in the paint. Just point, close tab after close tab, layup after layup, just exposing the lack of rim protection from Ateneo. And I think this is the reason why we're not seeing This is the reason why we're not seeing Zayn Mahmoud. Because they have a guy in Jello Crisostomo who's more agile, more athletic. I told you guys in the preseason, he was the guy tasked to guard KQ. That's how much confidence Coach Pido has in this guy. So, and he hit a 3 also. So,
yes.
May ball handling na rin.
Yeah, so it's not just in the paint. Oh, exactly. So, tama nga si Mao. You see the work he's put in the preseason. So, kudos to Jello Crisostomo, man. What a career game, diba? For Jello Crisostomo. And Mo Tongkara.
The best FSA.
Wow. The skills, the mid-range, the shot blocking, the rebounding, the engine, the machine to hustle for those rebounds. It's really amazing that this 6'7" guy is dominating. He even dominated the last game against Precious Momoway. I just love what I see from Mo Tongkara. I think he won UST this game along with Jello Crisostomo, especially in that third quarter. Where, yes, exactly.
Chabio Light.
Very similar to how Chabio plays. Exactly similar. And I actually thought that Ateneo should not have gone small. Or actually, should not have gone small the entire third quarter because we were getting killed by Jello Crisostomo and Mo Tongkara. I thought even if Balogun was not, up to par, I think they should have played. Kyle Ong was playing well. I don't no idea why Coach Tab chose to play Porter for extended minutes in that Porter at center for extended minutes in that third quarter. I thought he should have gone back to Kyle Ong or even to Balogun for a stretch because we were getting killed inside. We were just getting killed by Mo Tongkara over and over again. So yun. And plus, I do want to give some highlights to other UST players who I think really surprised me. And you mentioned him, Maui, Mark Liemit.
Yeah.
He looks completely different. Completely different from who he was last season.
Lagi mo kinakall yan. Lagi mo sinasabi.
Si yes, Liemit, because...
And wala siya nung off-season, diba? We
yun nga eh. Yun pa yung mas nakakagulat.
Kala natin di ba pasok?
Oo! Yun na, pinag-uusapan natin. Baka question mark pa siya. Oo. Tapos, 2 games na yan consistent, ha?
Yep. And I told you guys, completely different player. He looks slimmer. His handle looks better. His shot, most importantly, his shot looks a lot better. We saw this guy in UST High School when he was the main guy. He was a big man. He was scoring in the paint, dominating the boards. He showed the ability he could shoot, but last season he struggled. Couldn't really shoot that consistently, but now he was 2 of 2 from the 3-point line. I think he was perfect from the field, Mark Liemit. And not only that, he was tasked to guard Jared Bahay for long stretches. You see the confidence that Coach Pido has in this guy. He reminds me a lot about, and sorry for the comparison, I know this is very traumatizing for UST fans. He reminds me a lot of Aljon Mariano, the King Archer.
King Archer.
Bro.
Yeah, but he reminds me a lot of Aljon. That handle he has from the top of the key, even from the perimeter, the outside shot, the corner shots that he hits. He just looks like may angas din to eh. Yun, may angas din tong si Mark
Meron.
Clement, no?
Oo nga,
Meron.
meron niya. May dating.
For some reason, the Coach Pido attitude has rubbed off on this guy. Again, this is very surprising because in our luck, maybe now we weren't sure this guy was gonna play.
Yeah.
We didn't see him the whole off season. Then suddenly he's here. He's basically supplanted Ice Danting, Chase Lane, and
Estacio.
and Leland Estacio out of the rotation. And it's paying off for Coach Pido. I was so impressed by Mark Clement these past 2 games. I think he might be a lock for our surprise or most improved player for this season because looks really different. The confidence, the little skills that you can see it. The skills that he's developed over the off season, the work that he's put in, incredible, man. First 2 games. Saludo ako sa'yo, Mark Clement. Also, Jeremy Robinson, we have barely talked about this guy, if even at all, since he departed LaSalle. And yet, he's now in the rotation. He wasn't in the rotation in the off-season.
Alimutan ko na, galing siyang LaSalle.
Oh, di ba? And now he's being tasked as one of the point-of-attack defenders, was on Jared Bahay for... It was him or Mark Clement who was on Jared Bahay for most of this game. And you can see... He might be small in stature, but he's long. Ang haba ng kamay niya. Ang haba ng arms niya. And that bothered Jared Bahay for most of this game. I love what I saw from Jeremy Robinson. I don't think he's going to score big points. I don't think he has that shot yet. But as a point-of-attack defender, a guy who can hustle, I think he will see him as a consistent part of this UST rotation. Very weird talaga tong UST because yung mga guys na nag-contribute ngayon sa season, yung mga guys na nasa bench or even wala.
Wala.
Sa pre-season.
Style ni Pido talaga yan pag season.
Magtago, no?
Nanggugulat no?
Nanggugulat talaga. So,
oh.
he kept this in his pocket. He kept these 2 guys in his pocket and it's paying off for Coach Pido. The other guy I wanted to give a shout out who I thought played a pretty impressive game despite being 2 out of 12 from the field is Fortsky.
Mm-hmm.
Good God, he's such a good point guard. Every time I watch Forsky, when I watch him play for Ateneo, even now when I watch him play for UST, I am so in awe of how good he is, in reading the game, controlling the game. You talk about a guy who's very similar and could even match JD Kagulangan, it's Forsky Padrigao. There were so many times in this game, he called out the Ateneo play and he stopped the action from happening. the familiarity with the Ateneo offense.
Memorize pa niya
Alam pa niya, a year later, even after not playing for Coach Tab for a year, he still knows what Coach Tab is gonna run.
Coach Tab, kailangan mo na palitan plays mo, Coach Tab.
Sammy, the plays are different, but the actions of where to go to, like the chin action where they go to the post, they were running that in season 85. He still knew it. Like, okay, if this is happening, I'm gonna deny the post. Just the overall intelligence. And even if he hadn't seen the play yet, a few plays later, alam na niya kung saan pupunta. He denied Jared Bahay multiple times from getting the ball from off-ball screens just because he saw it already multiple times.
Siya yung dati, bro.
Siya yung dati.
Yeah, siya yung dati. Oh. But also, 9 assists to 0 turnovers. Come on. Even if he was 2 out of 12 from the field, he was a plus 16 when he was on the court. And you felt his presence when he was there, just directing everything. Even if he's not, he never looks rushed. Fortsky does. He never looks rushed. He knows where everyone has to be. He knows how to read defenses. He's just such a smart point guard. I love that he's back in the UAAP, and I really admire him. Despite him wearing a different jersey, it's just fun to watch Fortsky play. Just fun to watch how a smart guy reads the game. So Fortsky Padrigao, I can't say enough about Fortsky. So that was it. And one of the 2 shots that he hit was a 3 to actually extend the lead to what? 8 or 10?
Yun yung backbreaker. Parang game-winning shot na yun.
So that was the game. And now we have to be sad and go talk about Ateneo. And Maui already mentioned some of it. I'll go first to Jared Bahay because I know a lot of people want to hear us talk about Jared Bahay because it's either they're disappointed or they really don't like Jared Bahay. But Jared Bahay, we talked about this before the UP game. We won't be surprised if he had a bad game. And he had a bad game. It was 1 out of 9 from the field. The length of Mark Clement and Jeremy Robinson obviously bothered him a lot. And not just that, the game planning from UST, how to guard him off pick and rolls. They trapped and blitzed him every time. He was not going to get a shot off. To Ateneo fans, he'll learn. To Jared Bahay, I know you'll learn. Great point guard struggle.
Kalma lang.
Great player struggle. And this is put it up to the bad first game of Jared Bahay. He'll have a few. He'll have a few bad games. Chalk it up. He'll have a few bad games talaga. But Josh Lazaro, you already mentioned him. Same reaction. Who is this guy? Because scoring from everywhere.
Yeah.
What? From mid-range shots, asking for the ball to take a three.
And he started hot agad, Like, it's not like later on na siya. Talagang he was looking for his shots early.
Yep, and making shots at the rim. Remember, this was your criticism of Josh. He cannot finish at the rim. Now he is.
Ngayon, uber aggressive, which is what Ateneo needs.
He was actually perhaps the only reason why Ateneo had a chance to win this game, because Josh was playing so well. The other guys I wanted to shout out were Sean Toaño. I guess 50% is better than 30%.
Getting there. We're getting there.
Next game 70 na, bro. Next game 70.
So it's an improvement. He was 3 out of 10 against UP. He was 3 out of 6 today. I do hope he doesn't get to his head and he continues to work on it. It looks smoother in his first 3 shots. When he made his first 3 shots, the shot looks smoother. And I'm just scared it's becoming a thing, because when I was seated with the crowd and he went to the free throw line, you were all like, "Oh, here we go. Will he make it?" It's now becoming a thing. Okay, nakakabahan ng mga tao sa kanya when he's on the free throw line. Some other guys, you mentioned si Balogun, but I think a lot of Ateneans are pretty frustrated with 2 guys, Ian Espinosa and Sean Ketevis. I'll go first with Ian Espinosa, because I still think he gets unnecessarily hated upon by a lot of Ateneans. Diba? Unnecessarily hated upon. It's just he missed a couple of open floaters in the third quarter, even the fourth. A fast break and a floater that he missed. He took a jump shot that was contested. He just gets unnecessary hate, man. And I said, he was tasked to be the bailout guy on the offense last season, but that wasn't supposed to be his role. That was supposed to be Chris Kuhn, but most of the time it was down to him, and he had to manufacture shots. He was just misplaced as that guy. And there are still times this season that he has to be that guy, and Ateneo fans just really don't like seeing him be that guy. But who else, diba? Yun nga, when guys like Drew Bongo are not trying to take charge, it's gonna have to be Ian, however you pronounce his name. And it just sucks that he has to be that guy and he gets unnecessary hate. Focus instead on his on-ball defense. That's what he's there for. Diba? That's his strength. He's supposed to be an on-ball defender, a pest. I think Fortsky said the same thing in a post-game interview. That's Ian's job, to be a pest on the defensive end. His defense is much better than Jared Bahay's. I mean, if you've watched Ateneo these past 2 games, Jared Bahay is not on the same level as an Ian Espinosa is on the defensive end. He's just not. That's the reason why Ian gets a lot of minutes as well, because Coach Tab loves defense. And talking about defense, that's the reason why Sean Ketevis has gotten the most minutes of any Atenean player for the past 2 games. Against UP and against UST, he's gotten the most minutes. I think he played 30 yesterday against
30.
UST.
Tama.
And a lot of Ateneo fans, Maui, I think you know a lot of them too, are pretty frustrated with Sean Ketevis because he's essentially a zero on offense. Those 4 points yesterday were a bonus.
Tony Snell is last game. 0 on the whole box score.
But Sam, we had the privilege of watching courtside. We saw how important Sean Keteves is on the defensive end, especially without Chris Kuhn, because he's essentially as important as Ange Kwame was to this Ateneo defense now, because teams avoid him on the defensive end. They try to run actions away from Sean Keteves.
Away from him. Yeah.
That's how disruptive he is on the defensive end, and that's why Coach Tab likes to throw him out there for really long stretches. It's just really a pain that he cannot produce anything on offense. Forsky left him alone. I think he knows Sean pretty well. Was not even trying to guard Sean on the outside. So that's this is where you feel the loss of LeBron Nieto.
Yep.
Because LeBron is a pretty good defender, but he can shoot. Sean just can't. Just doesn't have. I don't know what happened to the practice shots he had, to the new shooting form that he had, Maui.
Ina-hype pa, no? Off-season.
Ina-hype pa na off-season.
Iba talaga pag off-season, no? Iba talaga pag off-season.
Parang Ben Simmons, mga stories ni Ben Simmons, diba? Nag-shoot siya. Ito, parang same thing nangyari kay Sean Keteves. Nag-shoot siya with a new shooting form no off-season, and yet it has not manifested at all. And I know it's frustrating for Ateneo fans watching Sean out there become a zero on offense, but kailangan siya eh. That's how much they need him on the defensive end. Especially na wala tayong big. No, you have to have a disruptor, a guy who holds the defense together, and that's Sean Keteves. Another guy who surprised me, si Waki Espina, basically took over Chris Kuhn's minutes. I did not see that coming.
Waki Espina
was essentially the backup of Sean Keteves. So you see the confidence that Coach Tab has in Waki Espina. I thought it would be Kyle Gamber, but we didn't see Kyle Gamber at all. Which is pretty weird, and it was Waki. So that's it. Those are all my observations from this year. Ang haba ng usapan ko. Sorry guys. I had a lot of feelings coming. I had one day to think about this.
Dalawa na lang games natin eh. So we can really talk about the teams.
Talk about it, yeah.
Todo.
Two things lang before we end, no? I guess for UST, this is a really different UST. Kasi kung tingnan mo yung box score, Christian Manaytay did not score. He did not score. And if you remember UST last season, it was all Nick Cabanero and Christian Manaytay. Ganun ka-deep yung UST this season na Christian Manaytay played 16 minutes and did not score, and they can still win by 10 points. So, kung UST fan ka, it's legit. Legit na yung UST. That's why yan yung caption namin, UST is back. So you should go back to watching UST games. Go back to cheering.
Bro,
go Uste.
They were loud.
Go Uste. So it seems like UST is legit. They're really a potential title contender this season, especially with that depth. Again, the guys that we were high on, hindi pa nga natin masyado nakita. Especially someone like Estacio. And the rookies, of course. On the Ateneo side, they've kept, I think what's good about the first two games is they were able to keep it close, diba? Pero a loss is a loss, diba? Talo sila 0-2, and Maui, you kept saying this, don't start slow. Don't start 0-3, 0-4. Guess what? Next game ng Ateneo is going to be against LaSalle, the defending champion, the team that hit so many threes, 40% from the 3-point line against Adamson. So there's a high chance Ateneo is going to go 0-3. I'm just saying, based from Ateneo's performance in the first two games and based on how LaSalle has dominated Adamson and has come back from behind against NU, there's a big chance Ateneo is going to go 0-3. So that's going to be very difficult to climb out of. Not impossible, but very difficult. So something to watch out.
We still believe.
I'm sure
the
Ateneo
mantra
fans.
of 2002 Maui. We still believe.
And
Pero,
obviously, kapag Ateneo Lasal game, iba yung level of competition or aura. But anyway, Maui, go ahead. Before we end.
pero imagine, Ateneo could, or most likely could be 0-3, but UP and LaSalle is already done. Diba? For the other teams, they'll have to still face UP and LaSalle. Imagine if FEU goes 0-2 and then they still have UP and LaSalle on the schedule. Diba? That's an even heavier task. But yeah, I think yung LaSalle is still giving us nightmares kami ni Gab. I remember Phil Oil, ilang beses kami nagkatinginan when Ateneo and LaSalle faced during the Phil Oil game, and LaSalle basically manhandled Ateneo and beat them by what, 30 points ba, I think, but the margin was so big I can't even remember. But I think that was a game that Josh Lazaro also started to break out, if you remember correctly, Gab. That was a game that nobody could score and Lazaro started to make his own baskets, make his own plays. We can look back maybe during that game as to why he's starting to really get that confidence. But yeah, I'm excited pa rin, 'di ba? Kahit sabi nga ni Gab, we still believe, even if we were able to face. I mean, Ateneo has done naman Ateneo LaSalle games are always still entertainment, despite it potentially becoming lopsided. If LaSalle's fans were able to take all of those losses, diba, the past few years, I think 10 straight at one point. we Ateneans should do the same, diba? We have to just look at na lang.
Now that you mentioned that, Maui, we forgot to mention this was UST's first win since 2015 against Ateneo.
Tama.
Kudos to UST, man.
Kudos to UST.
If I'm not mistaken, I saw a tweet from Naveen or maybe Spin, 15 straight games before UST was able to beat Ateneo. Medyo madami-dami. Diba? So this is a milestone game for UST. I think they can build up on this. 2-0 is big, diba? The magic number usually to make the final four is 8. If you get 8 wins, you're most likely assured. Last year it was 7, diba? Imagine that UST still has 12 games and they have 5 wins, 5-6 wins. They need to get to the final four. So let's see.
Good point. With that, we'll end it here. Obviously, meron tayong game Saturday, Sunday. We'll talk about those games. Also, kita-kita tayo sa Araneta on Saturday, and then MOA on Sunday for Ateneo and LaSalle. That's it for today's episode. Let us know your thoughts. Sa mga UST fans dyan, comment naman kayo, magparamdam kayo, kasi UST is back. We'll see you again next time. Like, subscribe. Bye-bye.